students to another session of Make Me Learn. Today we are going to learn about the poem When You're Old. When You're Old by W.B. Yeats, world's most renowned love poet. W.B. Yeats was a British nationalist and he had lots and lots of fan followers. So he wrote mostly love poems and he had expressed his love towards somebody else also in his poems. The poems mainly concentrate on the theme of love, emotions and celebration of life. This one, When You Are Old, is a poem which talks to us how we regret many things that we have lost when we had it in our hand and we have misused that opportunity, when we have lost the thing, and then later on, after many years, we repent for it, we regret having lost the opportunity or the person. This one particularly talks about the love between the poet himself and between another woman called Maud Gonne. So let us very quickly understand what the story is all about. What is the relation between the poet and the lady, and what has compelled the poet to write down this poem. So, being a British nationalist, W.B. Yeats, he had, as I told you, he had lot of admirers and people who would read his poems and give a very good critic. So, out of these people, Madam, a lady by name Maud Gonne was one, and she was an Irish nationalist. Though from Ireland, she was very closely associated with W.B. Yeats because she was an admirer of Yeats' poems. She would read them and then appreciate it. Many a times it would be a critical appreciation. She would be the one who would guide him and tell him what was wrong or what was right. So that way they both became very close to each other. And added to this, Maud Gonne was extraordinarily beautiful, and one quality that W.B. Yeats liked in her was her outspoken nature. She was very bold and outspoken in nature. So all these qualities of Maud Gonne bring her more and more closer to W.B. Yeats, and Yeats has become a great fan of her. These two are constantly in touch with each other. They like each other. I mean to say, let me correct it. They do not like each other, but it is one way itself, and it is Yeats who is in love with Maud Gonne. So, in his deep emotions for her, deep feelings for her, he proposes to Maud Gonne in the year 1891. But it is rejected by Maud Gonne. She very bluntly she says that she had nothing such like that, and she had just appreciated his writings and not him as an individual. So again, after many years, after 2 years again, W.B. Yeats again proposes to Maud Gonne, but again it is rejected. So this happens for around 3 times, and every time Yeats proposes to her, it is neglected, it is rejected by her. So Yeats is in a very depressed mood and a mood of dejection. At that moment, he writes the poem When You Are Old. He wants this lady to understand that she has committed a very big mistake in her life of not accepting the true love of Yeats. So he writes all these things using a beautiful time frame, and he wants to make her realize what her great loss in life is. And the poem, according to the mentality of the poet, it goes this way. So when you are old and grey and full of sleep, and you're nodding by the fire, you sit, then you have to take out this book and then read the book one after the other and understand many things. So the poet initially starts from going into the future tense. The poet goes to the future tense and he says, when you are old. This is for this lady only. When you are old and grey and full of sleep because old people usually doze off. So they are tired, they don't have lot of mental work to do, so they are tired. And this lady also, when she is old, she sits on her easy chair next to the fire, and all she has to do is nothing but just rock the chair and then sleep off. So when you are old and grey and you're fully filled with sleep, you just nod by the fire, you sit quietly and then you just doze off sitting next to the fire. Then you have to take out this book. Just take this book and read all the lines that are written. So this book here refers to the book of poems the poet is writing at that moment. So whatever he is writing at present, he is talking about the future tense, and that book that is written in the present tense has to be seen by the woman who is already in the future tense. So he says, you take out this book and read the lines, then you will understand that what soft look your eyes had once and moments of glad grace. So he talks about all these things in the second stanza. So in this one, second stanza, he says, your eyes had such lovely looks, soft looks, and moments, every second it was completely filled with grace, which was glad, happy moments, graceful moments, happy and beautiful moments, because you were young and the life was very nice, life was without any tension, and your eyes also had a beautiful look in them. So because you were young, all these you will have to recollect, recall, and then think how life was very beautiful. He continues and says, just think of those days when there were many people who were behind you, for either for loving you or just because you were beautiful. So they just wanted to love you. There were many people, there were many men, boys who loved you for your beauty. It might be a true love or a false love. So they just loved you because you were very beautiful. Either love which was true or false. Maybe it was a true one, maybe it was a false one. But still people loved you very much. So you'll have to recall all those things. Just remember those days when you were loved by many of them. But also remember that there was one man who loved the soul in you, the pilgrim soul in you, the holy soul in you, that faithful soul that was yearning for true love, that was loved only by one man, and that is me. So you will have to understand that there were many men who loved you for your beauty. That could be a false one or a true one, but there was only one man who loved your beauty, your pilgrim soul, and also understood that there is lot of pain when the face and the expressions and the features on the face, they gradually change. The features and the face changes because once a person gets old, once a person grows old, the features also become very old. There is no warmth, there is no soft look in the eyes, there is no tender and pink lips, there are no stretch, the tightness on the face. So all these changes happen, and once these changes happen, the individual becomes very sorrow. So that can be seen on the face. So he says there is only one man who was not behind your beauty, but he was behind your soul, the pilgrim soul, the holy soul in you, and who was always with you when you felt sorrow because of the changing faces. So always remember that there was one man who would love you truly. He continues in the last stanzas, he continues to say, now at that age, you will have to remember that all these beautiful things, they were there with you. And now you are unable to stand straight, unable to stand stiff. You will have to bend on the glowing bars. The glowing bars, because they are glittering and shining, glaring the fire, the light from the fire. So now you are not able to stand straight. You are so old that you will have to bend on the glowing bars, and having bent there, you will have to quietly murmur. You will have to feel bad for yourself. You will have to really repent that you have committed a big mistake in your life. Now you have to quietly murmur and feel and understand the truth that love has paced upon the mountains overhead, and he has hid his face over there. So you will understand that love has flown across the mountains. It's just gone away, far, far, far away from you. It has climbed the mountains and reached the top, reached the sky, and there the love of his, the true love, has hid his face amid a crowd of stars. The last two lines here, they have been personified. Personification is a figure of speech wherein a non-living object, a non-living entity is given life and it is treated as an individual. So this kind of personification happens here. And what is it that is personified? Any guesses? No, it is not the poet, it is not the lover, but it is love itself that has been personified. Love has been personified and love is treated like an individual, like a human being. So love has really lost its value because the lady Morgan has not valued it, has not given any respect to it. So love, having disappointed by the rejection of the love, has space is to move away, move very quickly upon the mountains overhead, and it has gone and hid its face amidst the stars. It has united itself with the stars. So now if the lady wants to see the lover, he can only be there. So there are two meanings for this. For this line, love has paced upon the mountains and they have gone amidst the stars. The two meanings of the last line, love has paced upon the mountains overhead and hid his face. One could be that the love of the poet has gone far away from Morgan. It has lost its value, it has lost its entity, and it is no more valid at all. So it has gone away from Morgan. The lady here, she can never go and approach Yeats for anything. So that could be one meaning. The second meaning is the poet himself is no more. The poet has, he is dead and he is no more, and therefore this old lady who is still here, who is still surviving, she wants to meet her love. She wants to get back that love, but it is too late. The poet himself would have gone. Maybe he is dead. So the two meanings are, one, the love might have gone away, love might have become diluted and it might have vanished, or the second thing, love would have disappeared. So giving these two meanings, the poet says, love has gone away, it has paced upon the mountains overhead and it has hid his face amidst the crowd of stars. So how do we know that this is a personification? Very simple. When I talk about love here, love is supposed to be a neutral gender, and here this one has given as his and face. His, again, it talks about gender. Face also talks about the human qualities, human features, and therefore we understand that this one is a personification. So love has gone up on the mountains and it has disappeared. So now even if the lady, even if this old woman, she wants to meet her love, it is quite not possible for her, because love does not exist anymore at all, either physically or in the mind and heart of the poet. This is about the summary of this poem, When You Are Old. Moving on to some interesting features about the poem, we have the time frame which is beautifully woven here. It is very neatly taken care of by the poet. The time frame that is used is the future, present, past and future tense. So almost all the tenses have been used. The poet begins the poem in the future tense. So it talks about the first line itself. It says, when you are old and full of grey and full of sleep, then you will remember. So initially he begins the poem with a future tense. He says all these things in future, when you are old, nodding by the fire, when you are grey and you are full of sleep, then remember those days. Take out this book and remember your golden era, remember your golden days. So that he talks about the present tense, the golden moment, the golden era, the beautiful time, the youth time, the prime time of the person's life is all about the present tense that he is mentioning. So from here again he will talk about the past tense. Past tense because you'll have to take this book and then again recall those people who loved you for your glad grace, loved you for your beauty, with either it is with a true or false love. Also, remember that there was one man. All this happens in past tense. So, it is again going back to past tense. And then, the last two lines, remember, you will now again, the glowing bars, bent by the glowing bars, and you have to murmur sadly that love is dead, it is fled and gone away. Again, he talks about the future tense. He says, see, once all this has happened, now again in future tense, you will understand that love is no more at all. That means, at that moment when he is writing the poet still feels a very strong feeling for Maud Gonne, but later on, if the same thing continues for few more days or few more months, then his love also would have disappeared. So, it loses its sanctity, and therefore there would be no meaning for him to love her at all. So, he is using this time frame in a very neat fashion. It is beautifully woven and then presented to us. That is the use of time frame. This also, the beauty here, that whatever I explained to you is also the answer for one of the questions here, as you can see, usage of time frame in the poem. So, you can write down how it is used and how beautifully it is done. In your textbook, once you see this video, in your textbook you will have to mark all these things, future, present, past and future, and then talk about these lines. These lines, mark these lines as future tense, past tense, present tense and all those things. For example, I just show you, see, when you are old and grey and full of sleep and nodding by the fire, all these things, they are future tense. They are future. This book, the book of poems, this line alone is in present tense. Then, the soft look of your eyes they had once and the moments of glad grace, all these talk about the past tense again. So, you will have to mark them like past tense and then remember them, so that whenever you will have to answer this question, you can write this kind of, as we say in your scientific languages, you can write down this formula or a flow chart and then write the answer for this one. So, as I had explained the time frame, the usage of time frame is, the answer is solved for this question. The first question that we have, see, this could be usually a 4-mark question or a 6-mark question that is asked. Even if it is asked for a 6 mark, which is a very rare and a rare case, because usually when the poem is long, you can write an answer for 6 marks, but not for a 12-line poem like this. A 12-line poem cannot be asked for 6 marks. Even if it is asked, you will have to write the summary of it, explaining almost every line. A 6-mark question, yes, you need to explain almost every line, and then mentioning the same words from the text into your answers. The first question that we can discuss is, how is one man different from the others? Who is that one man? Who is that one man the poet is talking about? Yes, it is the poet himself. The poet himself, he says, he was a special person, he was a devoted person because he loved the soul and not the beauty. It's not the physical appearance that attracted him, but it was the pilgrim soul and the sorrows of her changing face that he loved. Therefore, he is special. Do you think only writing this much would be sufficient? No, not at all. You will have to write down few things before that also. The love has been rejected, and the poet, in his distressed and disturbed mentality, he talks about all these things. So, you will have to write down how he is different. Just if you explain his quality, again it will not be sufficient. You will have to explain the quality of others also, how they are different from him or how he is different from others. So, again when you write down the answers, you will have to mark all these and then highlight them. Coming to the last question, the poem When You Are Old is a poem of contrast. You know what is contrast? It is difference, either in opinion or in accepting or in putting out something or even in colors. Okay, so contrasting things can be seen in this poem. How do you explain this? Yes, it is a poem of contrast, because when you are old and grey and you are nodding by the fire, how can you think again about all these things, the moments of glad grace? The poet here, he wants the lady to recollect all those beautiful moments. Usually once we are old, we only talk about and think about our family, our future, their future, the time that these children did not listen to them, all these things come. So just for a while you will have to think about that beautiful moment, the beautiful moment that she had. So that is a contrasting one. And this, especially this line is it's beautiful example for contrasting lines. Everybody loved the beauty with true or false, but one man, he loved the pilgrim soul. That's again contrasting. Usually love has to be both physical and emotional one. But here the poet talks about pilgrim soul and the changing faces and its sorrow as one unit, and the beauty and the physical appearance. True or false love is another identity. So this one, it is a poem of contrast. You will have to explain how it is contrasting, how it is contradicting each other. So this completes your the poem, the summary, the discussion of everything about the poem When You Are Old. Hope you have had a very nice and enjoying session of Make Me Learn. See you in the next video.